In this next video, we're going to start looking at the hormones from the anterior pituitary. So first, let's take a look at the names of the 6 hormones that come from the anterior pituitary. We've got growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, ACTH, FSH, LH, and prolactin. So we've got 6 different hormones, and they all come from the anterior pituitary. And for all of these hormones, the hypothalamus tells the anterior pituitary when to release them. So all of these hormones that are coming out of anterior pituitary, the hypothalamus tells them when to come out. And also, all of these hormones tell some other gland to do something. So we're going to see a lot of this chain idea when we start talking about the anterior pituitary and how that works. So remember, we said the hypothalamus is in charge of the endocrine system. The hypothalamus tells the pituitary what to do, and then the pituitary passes that message on to other glands or other organs. Okay, so we're going to do our 6 hormones of the anterior pituitary in order, and each one's going to have a different video. So this video is going to be about growth hormone. So we're going to see how we get growth hormone to come out of the anterior pituitary, and then what does it do when it's out, and then we're also going to see how things could go wrong. What if you have too much or too little growth hormone? So always with this pathway, we're going to have hypothalamus telling pituitary what to do, pituitary telling the other gland what to do. So in the case of growth hormone, we have a hormone called growth hormone releasing hormone, right? Growth hormone releasing hormone comes out of the hypothalamus and tells the anterior pituitary to release your growth hormone. And in turn, that growth hormone is going to talk to bone, cartilage, muscle, connective tissue, any tissues of your body that needs to grow, the growth hormone is going to talk to, right? So growth hormone releasing hormone tells the pituitary to release growth hormone, and growth hormone tells all these other tissues to grow. So what happens when you're finished growing? We have a feedback pathway that tells this to turn off. So once you have enough growth hormone, you can send a message back to the hypothalamus now and say stop, right? We don't need any more growth hormone. And then if you do that, the hypothalamus will release a new hormone. It's called growth hormone inhibiting hormone. And when you get that, your anterior pituitary will no longer release growth hormone, right? So for growth hormone, we have a hormone from the hypothalamus that tells it to come out, and we have a second hormone from the hypothalamus that tells it to stop coming out. So we've got a stimulus and we've also got an inhibitor, and they're both coming from the hypothalamus. And the growth hormone itself is coming from the anterior pituitary. So growth hormone is an anabolic hormone. Remember this word from Biology 100 or Biology 141. Anabolic means you build things. And if you're trying to grow your body, you got to build skeleton, bone and cartilage. You got to build muscle. You got to build connective tissue. And you got to make all these structures bigger. Now, if you're building stuff, you're also going to need a lot of energy. So growth hormone also regulates energy, and it also regulates blood sugar and how our cells process energy. So check it out. Here's my hypothalamus. If I want growth hormone to come out, my hypothalamus needs to send growth hormone releasing hormone that tells the anterior pituitary to send the growth hormone. And when I have enough growth hormone, there's a negative feedback pathway that stimulates growth hormone inhibiting hormone, which will turn the whole system off. So on our diagrams, whenever you see a dotted arrow line like that, that's always a negative feedback pathway in your picture. So check it out. Growth hormone has 2 effects. Effect number 1 is to tell all the tissues of your body to grow, right? So your skeleton needs to start growing, your bones need to start growing, your cartilage needs to start growing. That's how you get from baby size up to about age 13, 14. And remember, once you hit puberty, estrogen and testosterone take over a lot of the growth stimulation. But during that childhood phase, growth hormone is really important. So it's going to tell skeleton to grow, and then we're also going to get protein synthesis, cell copying other places like connective tissue, like muscle. As your skeleton's growing, the rest of you has to grow as well. So growth hormone is going to tell all of your tissues of your body to grow. Now, if you're making all these extra cells and extra tissues, you're going to need some energy. So we got to burn fat, we got to burn carbohydrates, we got to get sugar out of our cells into the bloodstream and send it off to all these tissues that are copying and growing. So sometimes growth hormone is said to be anti-insulin because it actually raises your blood sugar. And it's raising your blood sugar to give you enough energy so you can build all these new tissues and so you can copy all those cells. Now, what happens if something goes wrong? If you get a tumor in your anterior pituitary, or if you have some problem with your anterior pituitary, you will not make enough growth hormone. So if you don't make enough growth hormone, you will be very small. You will be what is called a pituitary dwarf. And there's many kinds of dwarfism. There's achondroplasia, that's a genetic disorder. So when you say pituitary dwarfism, you are specifically saying that something's wrong with this person's pituitary gland. They're not making enough growth hormone. And because they're not making enough growth hormone, they're not growing to normal human size, right? Now, of course, in the United States, we have synthetic growth hormone. So if your child is not growing, we can start injecting them with that. So you don't often see pituitary dwarfs in the United States. But if you ever travel to a developing country or work in a developing country, you will see people there because they can't afford the growth hormone. Now, things could go wrong in the opposite direction. You could have too much growth hormone. Then you're going to be a pituitary giant. So you're going to grow much bigger than a human's supposed to grow. This guy's 8 feet 11 inches, right? Now, of course, your heart, your liver, your kidneys are not designed to support a human of this size. So it's not uncommon for giants to die very young because the rest of their organs can't support their large size. So if you have too much growth hormone, you'll be a giant. If you have too little growth hormone, you'll be a dwarf. But there's also a third problem you can get with growth hormone. So remember, most people stop growing around age 20. That's where your epiphyseal plates close and turn into an epiphyseal line, and then after that, you're not going to get any taller. But some people develop a pituitary tumor much later in life. So for those people who get the tumors later in life, they have a condition called acromegaly. So when your pituitary gland produces too much growth hormone after age 20, the cartilage of your body can grow, but your long bones are not going to grow. So what happens is any area that's made of cartilage keeps growing and getting larger. So the ears, the nose, the chin, anywhere that's got cartilage is going to grow. So acromegaly is when you have too much growth hormone later in life, and you're going to get really big features, really big ears, nose, chin, and sometimes fingers are growing as well because there's a lot of cartilage in the fingers. So that's acromegaly. So this was our talk about growth hormone, our first hormone from the anterior pituitary.